There is a camper van on the road right now with a sports car hidden underneath the living room floor. Not on a trailer behind it. Underneath it, sealed in, riding on a hydraulic platform that lowers to the tarmac at the touch of a button. That one is number 1, and we will get there. The other 9 have heated floors, real ovens, glass shower doors, and wine coolers humming quietly under the counter. Not one of them is sold in a showroom. Every single one is built by hand, one at a time, for somebody who decided that leaving home should never mean leaving comfort behind. We start with one you could park outside your house without a neighbor looking twice. We finish 40 feet later with something almost nobody guesses correctly. This story doesn't really begin with luxury. It begins with a very old frustration. For decades, the choice on the road was simple and unappealing. You either drove something small enough to park and lived like a student, or you drove something enormous enough to live in and spent your life hunting for a space to put it. The vans you're about to see exist because a handful of builders in Indiana, Ohio, California, Bavaria, and Austria refused to accept that trade-off. What they created sits somewhere between a home, a workshop, and a piece of furniture. Number 10, the one that still looks like a work van. The Midwest Automotive Design's Lux Cruiser. Park this on a residential street and your neighbors will assume a plumber is visiting. The Lux Cruiser is built in Elkhart, Indiana, on the extended 170-inch Mercedes Sprinter chassis. That's about 24 feet of vehicle, wearing the same plain white paint as a delivery van. Elkhart, by the way, is the town that builds something like 80% of America's recreational vehicles. And a lot of the men on that floor are the second or third generation of their family to do the job. Then the side door slides open and the illusion collapses. Inside there are solid surface countertops, cabinetry with soft close hinges, a wet bath with a proper shower head, and a power sofa that lays flat into a full bed at the press of a button. The floor can be heated, the lighting dims. The refrigerator is a real compressor unit, not a cooler that struggles in August. Under the hood sits the Mercedes Turbo Diesel, and on many builds the four-wheel drive system that lets the van climb a gravel forest road without drama. Expect somewhere around $200,000 by the time it leaves the lot. What makes the Lux Cruiser interesting isn't extravagance, it's restraint. This is a van built for 2 people who want a hotel room that follows them, who want to shower in Utah in the morning and cook dinner in Colorado, and who would rather not announce any of it to the parking lot. So what happens when the company building it has spent nearly a century being completely impossible to hide? Number 9, the aluminium legend that switched materials, the Airstream Atlas. For a lot of people, the word Airstream conjures exactly one image, that polished silver bullet trailer glinting in the desert sun, towed behind a station wagon somewhere on Route 66. So the first surprise with the Atlas is that it isn't a trailer at all, and it isn't silver. It's a Mercedes Sprinter-based coach, roughly 25 feet long, built in Jackson Center, Ohio, by the same company that has been riveting aluminium there since the 1950s. Here's the part most people don't know about that factory. Airstream has been tangled up with the American space program since Apollo. The quarantine trailer that held the first men back from the moon was theirs, and the crew transport vehicle that carried the Artemis astronauts out to the launch pad is a custom Atlas. Same production line, same welders. The centerpiece of the civilian version is the Murphy suite bed, tucked into a power slide-out. During the day, it folds up, and the rear of the coach becomes a lounge with seating, a table, and floor space you can actually walk across. At night, it comes down as a proper mattress with a real headboard. You also get a full bath at the rear with teak inlays and stainless fixtures, a galley with induction cooking, and a convection microwave, solar panels feeding the battery bank, and a climate system that runs without the engine turning over. New, they list around $317,000. There's a reason retired couples put deposits down on these before they ever sit inside one. Now, both of the machines you've just seen came off a production line. Similar units rolled out beside them. The next builder on this list has never done that. Not once in its entire history. Number 8. The workshop where no 2 vans have ever matched. Advanced RV. In Willoughby, Ohio, there's a building where a camper van takes the better part of a year to finish. Advanced RV doesn't have a catalog of models. It has a conference room. Owners sit down with the design team, and the van is drawn from an empty sheet of paper around how that specific person actually lives, where they read, which side of the bed they get out of, whether they cook seriously or just make coffee. The engineering underneath is where it gets serious. These vans carry no propane whatsoever. Everything runs on electricity, fed by lithium battery banks large enough to power a small house, charged by solar and by the engine as you drive. Cooking is induction. Heating and hot water run through a hydronic system that circulates warm fluid through the floor, so the heat comes up through your feet instead of blowing at your face. Body panels and furniture use carbon fiber to save weight where weight matters, and the insulation is specified for people who genuinely intend to be somewhere cold in January rather than fleeing it. $500,000 is a normal number here. Many go well past it. Owners talk about these vans the way people talk about a custom rifle or a hand-built kitchen. Some of them have driven the same one for a decade. And no, I'm not exaggerating that. There are advanced RV customers who have come back for a second build and asked the team to make the new one exactly as strange and specific as the first. Anyone over 6 feet tall has cursed about the next problem in every camper they've ever stepped into. Number 7. The one where you can stand up straight. The Ultimate Toys Ultimate Coach. Stock Sprinter roofs are tall. They're not tall enough. Anyone north of 6'2" spends his time in a normal van in a permanent slight crouch, and after 3 days, that stops being funny. The team behind the Ultimate Coach solved it the expensive way. They cut the roof off and built a new one, raising the ceiling until a tall adult can walk the length of the interior without tilting his head. That extra height changes everything about how the inside feels. And here's the part people don't expect. It isn't really about your head. It's about the cabinets. Suddenly they can be full depth. The shower becomes a shower rather than a phone booth. The televisions rise out of the furniture on motorized lifts instead of bolting to a wall. The surfaces are hardwood and stone look composite. The seating is stitched leather, and the lighting is layered the way a designer would layer it in a condominium, with ambient wash, task lighting over the galley, and reading lamps by the bed. Step in and your brain files it as a very narrow apartment that happens to have a steering wheel at one end. That single decision, adding a foot of headroom, is the difference between a vehicle you tolerate and a home you settle into. The Ultimate Coach borrows its thinking from architecture. The next one borrows all of it from the touring business. Number 6. The Rolling Stateroom. The Lexani Motorcars Sprinter. Out in Corona, California, Lexani builds stretch sprinters for people who aren't going camping at all. This is the modern descendant of the Entertainer Coach, the machine that has been moving bands, executives, and film crews between cities since long before anyone called it a van. Look up at the ceiling of one of these, and you're staring at hundreds of fiber optic points set into the headliner, a starlight sky that shifts color slowly across the whole interior. The walls are hand-stitched leather with contrast piping. Ultra-high-definition screens fold down and swing out. The sound system is specified the way a home theater is specified, with subwoofers built into the furniture and amplifiers hidden under the floor. The seating is captain chairs with power recline, heat, ventilation, and massage, arranged around a center console with a refrigerator and a bar. A glass partition separates the cabin from the driver, so a conversation in the back stays in the back. Pay attention to that detail, because it explains the whole vehicle. There's often no bed at all. This isn't a machine built to sleep in a national forest. It's built to carry 6 people 300 miles in a state of near total insulation from the road, and to make the journey the best part of the day. Which brings us to the builder, who took that idea, stripped out the theatrics, and rebuilt the whole thing around silence. Number 5. The Executive Land Yacht, the Becker Automotive Design Jet Van. In Oxnard, California, Becker builds what its customers openly describe as a private jet cabin with wheels underneath it. The starting point is a stretched Sprinter, but by the time the build is finished, almost nothing of the original van remains in the passenger area. The body is filled with layered acoustic insulation, mass-loaded barriers and isolation mounts, to the point where conversation at highway speed happens at normal volume. Owners talk about the quiet before they talk about anything else. Inside, there are 2 or 4 reclining captain chairs in aviation-grade leather, a real workstation with power and connectivity, a refrigerator, a full glass partition to the cockpit, and cabinetry that would look expensive in a law office. Everything is controlled from a touchscreen. Everything closes with a soft, heavy click. 6 figures well before you start choosing options. The customers are chief executives who work between meetings, touring musicians who sleep between cities, and families who simply refuse to fly commercially anymore. A Becker is a strange thing to categorize. It's a vehicle whose entire purpose is to make several hours of your life disappear pleasantly, which, when you think about it, is exactly what people wanted from a Pullman railway carriage 120 years ago. Some ideas never actually go out of fashion, they just change chassis. Now, before number 4, a quick word for the people watching who aren't just here for the pictures. Some of you have been thinking about doing this for years. Some of you already sleep in a van most nights. And a lot of you have a son, a daughter, or a grandchild out there on the road right now. Here's what I've noticed. The people who last on the road and the people who quit after 4 months are almost never separated by what they spent on the vehicle. It comes down to 4 things nobody puts in the brochure: where you can legally park overnight without a knock on the window at 2 in the morning, how full-timers keep their water lines from freezing in February without a heated garage, how you handle mail, an address, insurance, and registration once you no longer have a driveway, and how people get their monthly costs down to a number that would genuinely surprise you. I wrote all 4 down in one place. It's called the Van Life Savings Manual. It's free, and the link is in the description under this video. If you're watching on a television, there's a code on the screen right now that your phone camera will read in about 2 seconds. Take what's useful, ignore the rest. And if you know somebody living in a van tonight, send it to them. It might save them a very cold winter. Right, every machine so far has been a van. From here on, the word van starts to strain at the seams. Number 4, the German liner that carries a car. The Vario Perfect 1200 Platinum. Vario builds in Germany, and the Perfect 1200 Platinum doesn't sit on a van chassis at all. It sits on a Mercedes Actros truck chassis, the same family of machine that hauls freight across Europe, and the coachwork is built onto it by hand. The result is roughly 40 feet of vehicle, with air suspension that kneels at the curb, and a driver's cockpit that feels like the flight deck of a regional aircraft. Inside, the layout stops pretending to be a camper. There's a separate bedroom with a proper double bed and wardrobes, a bathroom with a full shower cubicle and a heated towel rail, a lounge with leather seating and a dining table, a galley with an oven, a dishwasher, and a full-height refrigerator. Underfloor heating throughout, run from a diesel-fired system that doesn't care what the outside temperature is doing. And then there's the back. Behind the living quarters sits a garage with a hydraulic ramp, sized to swallow a full-size car. Owners drive across a continent in the liner, park it at a lake in Italy, drop the ramp, unload a small convertible, and spend the next 3 weeks exploring on 4 small wheels instead of 18 large ones. That isn't a novelty feature. For people who travel for months at a time, it's the entire reason the vehicle exists. The Vario is built for the road. The next one is built for the season. 3 or 4 months in one spot, and every detail arranged accordingly. Number 3, the rolling apartment, the Morello Empire Liner. Morello builds in Schlüsselfeld, in Bavaria, on an Iveco chassis, and the Empire Liner is what happens when a company designs a motorhome for people who will genuinely live in it, from November to March. The construction is double floor, which sounds like a technical footnote and is actually the central idea. Between the two floors sits a heated void that carries the tanks, the plumbing, and enormous storage bays, all of it kept above freezing by the same system that heats the cabin. Nothing freezes, nothing bursts. You can be parked in the Alps in January and your water still runs at 6 in the morning. Anybody who has ever spent a night with a hairdryer pointed at a frozen pipe understands exactly how much that's worth. Above that floor, the space is genuinely residential. A king-size bed on a fixed platform rather than a folding compromise. A walk-in shower with a separate washroom. A lounge with panoramic glazing and seating for 6. A galley with a full oven and a proper extractor. Wardrobe space measured in feet rather than inches. Some layouts include a rear garage as well, and plenty of owners specify a washing machine, because when you're living somewhere for 4 months, laundry stops being a small question. It's the least flamboyant vehicle on this list, and quite possibly the most livable, which, depending on what you actually want from the road, may be the higher compliment. The next one abandoned livable entirely and went looking for spectacle. Number 2, the one with a terrace on the roof. The Marchimobile Element, Palazzo Superior. Built in Austria, roughly 40 feet long, and shaped like nothing else that has ever been road legal. The bodywork is a single sweeping curve of hand-formed panels, and the front glass wraps around a cockpit that wouldn't look out of place at an airport gate. Park it at any event, and everything within 100 meters instantly looks provisional. Reported price, around $3 million. Inside, there's a master suite with a full-size bed, a bathroom finished in stone with a rain shower, a lounge with curved leather seating, a bar with backlit glass, and a lighting system that changes the mood of the entire interior from a tablet. But the feature people remember is on top. At the touch of a button, a section of the roof rises and unfolds into a terrace, complete with railings, seating, and a bar, sitting well above the roof line. You climb up, you sit down, and you're looking out over the campground, the paddock, or the coastline from a private balcony that arrived by road. There's no practical justification for it whatsoever. That's precisely why it exists. And no, I'm not making that up. Fewer than a handful of these have ever been completed, each one built to order over the course of many months. And now we arrive at number 1, a machine that wasn't designed to impress anyone from the outside and which hides its single greatest feature completely out of sight until the owner decides otherwise. Number 1, the one with a sports car underneath the living room. The Volkner Mobile Performance S. Volkner builds in Wuppertal, in Western Germany. A family firm, a small number of units per year, and a waiting list measured in years rather than months. From the outside, the Performance S looks like a very long, very clean luxury coach. Smooth flanks, dark glass, air suspension, no ornament. You drive past it at a service station and register nothing more than expense. Underneath, it's a Volvo bus chassis, 40 feet long, with the diesel mounted at the rear, producing somewhere around 460 horsepower through an I-shift transmission. That engine sits up to 35 feet behind the driver's seat, which is the whole point. At speed, from the front, you barely know it's running. The interior is exactly what you'd expect at this level, and executed better than most houses. A master bedroom with a fixed double bed and wardrobes on both sides. A bathroom with a full shower, marble-style surfaces and heated floors. A lounge with a curved sofa and a television that rises out of the cabinetry. A galley with an oven, an induction hob, a dishwasher, and a wine cooler. Every surface is hand-finished veneer, brushed metal or leather. And if the owner ticks the Burmester audio system, that option alone adds around $355,000 to the bill. Not the vehicle, the stereo. But the reason this one sits at the top of the list is underneath all of it. Between the axles, running the width of the vehicle, sits a sealed hydraulic garage. Press a control and a section of the lower bodywork opens. A platform extends outward and lowers to the ground, and a car rolls out onto the tarmac. Not a scooter, not a motorcycle. A car up to about 15 feet long, which covers most sports cars ever built. The coach itself runs around $2.4 million. The unit Volkner showed at the Dusseldorf Caravan Salon came in near $7.7 million, because the price included the Bugatti Chiron that was sleeping underneath the sofa. I mean, think about that for a second. You drive across a continent in a house. You park it at the coast. You open a hatch below the floor of your own living room, and you drive away in a supercar that has ridden the entire journey under your feet. There's no category for a machine like that. There's only the vehicle, and the very small number of people who ever thought to ask for it. Across all 10 of these machines, the same pattern keeps repeating. None of them were built because somebody needed transport. They were built because somebody looked at the standard arrangement, the house that stays put and the vehicle that goes places, and quietly refused to accept that those had to be two different things. A plain white Sprinter in Indiana and a German coach with a Bugatti in the basement are separated by an enormous amount of money and almost no difference in philosophy at all. Both of them are somebody's answer to the same question. Why should going somewhere cost you the comfort of being home? So tell me in the comments which one you'd actually take, and be honest about it, because the smart money on this list isn't always at the top. Subscribe to the channel and comment the word van life if you want a greeting in the next video.